Hello everyone and season's greetings from your boy. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope you're having some nice holidays. This video should be going up on the 24th on Christmas Eve. As you can see, there's no gameplay video today. I figured I deserved a little break for Christmas. I don't think I've really missed an upload in like at least 2 years. I've been uploading 3 videos every single week, and so I wanted to take a little break because I've been pretty busy recently actually. Even though there's no episode today, I wanted to do like a quick little channel update and also just to wish you guys some happy holidays. I'm sitting here in my wonderfully decorated virtual home. I've got my nice ho 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 Titus shirt for Christmas. I hate that my webcam always shows red as like this weird orange. I swear, this is red, this is red. The Clair Obscur scarf is red. Damn webcam. It's because of the green screen, you know? It's because of this shit. And so, yeah, it's been a pretty productive year. It's been a very busy year. As some of you may know if you've caught one of my streams or if you're following me on Patreon. I got a new part-time gig in the last few months, which has helped me on the financial side of things, but it's also made me even more busy. I'm working as a video editor for a podcast. And so that's been pretty nice. It's kind of adjacent to the work I'm already doing on the channel. And so it's helped me bring in a bit more money, but it's also made me even busier than I was. And so in the last couple of weeks and months, it's actually been like a little difficult to keep up with the uploads on the channel. Haven't missed an upload yet. As you probably saw, Cyberpunk is finally over after 9 long months. My longest playthrough on the channel by far. It's finally come to an end, and so we can close that chapter. Oh, how nice of the person who made this background to leave this mouse icon there. I was also right at the end of my Clair Obscur playthrough, and I thought that game would be over by the end of the year, but then Sandfall decided to surprise us with an update at the Game Awards, and so I guess that playthrough will keep up for a few more episodes past the new year, as we dive into this thank you update and all these extra difficult bosses that they added. So what's coming in the future on the channel? Well, now that Cyberpunk is over, another game will be replacing it, one that a lot of you have been asking me about, which is Silksong. And the situation with Silksong is actually pretty funny, where when the game came out, I started recording episodes right away because I didn't want to get spoiled by stuff online, and because, you know, I was really excited to play, and so I recorded like 8 episodes right when the game came out, on top of the other episodes that I was releasing on the channel. So I got 8 episodes recorded, and then I just stopped playing, and I haven't really played it since, so I'm gonna have to get back to it soon. But really excited to share my Silksong playthrough on the channel. I hope you guys will be watching and enjoying that one. And then there's a bunch of other games that I'm looking forward to playing this year. I've got my list as always, you know, a list of games that I'm interested in playing, and also some games that you guys have been requesting. As always, you know, feel free to drop your recommendations and your suggestions in the comments below. I really enjoyed the games that I played on the channel this year. There were some bangers in there, like some all-timers for sure. Unfortunately, I can't really say the same about the channel's performance when it comes to like viewership and analytics and all that boring stuff. It's been a really slow year, and not just for me, it seems like kind of all across the board, Let's Play channels are struggling a bit on YouTube, so I guess I can take some comfort in that, knowing that it's not just me. But yeah, like viewership has not been great. I mean, you guys are watching, and of course I thank you for being here, but you know, in 2024, I started the year like 1,000 subscribers, and I ended the year at like 5,000, so I had a huge growth in 2024. And then in 2025, I started the year at 5,000, and I'm ending the year at still 5,000. I mean 5,700 to be fair, so there has been like a little bit of growth, but as you can see, it's really slowed down quite a bit compared to last year. And it's a shame because I feel like I've been putting out the best videos since creating the channel. I've really enjoyed the games this year, and you know, I feel like I'm doing a pretty good job with the thumbnails and stuff like that, but so much of this YouTube stuff is just up to luck, it seems. You know, it's up to chance. And I figured I would share it with you guys just to be open, but it's not really something I focus on that much. You know, I don't want to dwell on the negative, and I'm pretty happy with the very small but very loyal audience that I've managed to build here on the channel. So if you count yourself as part of it, well, thank you so much for having stuck with me through the year. I've been wanting to make more shorts maybe on the channel, but to make more shorts, I would need to like review all my past episodes, and I don't really have the time to just rewatch all my own videos, so doing streams, you know, this year I did my first stream on my birthday, and like I've done a couple since, and that's been a lot of fun. I really want to try and make more streams in 2026. I don't know, like maybe I should try and do like different thumbnails. I'm sure if I think about it, I can think of some ways to make thumbnails that will attract more viewers. Nah, you know what? Probably not a good idea, actually. I've talked about these before, but let me go through some of the games that I'm expecting to maybe play sometime this year, if I can find the time. There's of course Hollow Knight Silksong, like I mentioned. I've been wanting to play The Last Guardian, which has been on my backlog for a very long time. Maybe Alan Wake 2. Blueprints is still on my list. Control, Deathloop, Final Fantasy 16, Heaven's Vault, Hi-Fi Rush, Lies of P, Pacific Drive is one that's mentioned a lot in my comments. I would like to maybe go back to play the first Persona, which I've never tried, like Persona 1 and 2. There's Returnal that I've really wanted to try, but I'm not sure like if people would want to watch that one. There's Sekiro, which my brother has been nagging me about for years. The Shadow of the Erdtree DLC for Elden Ring. I would like to maybe do Split Fiction with my girlfriend, like it's an idea we've talked about, but if we can get around to recording that one, that would be a lot of fun. The Rise of the Golden Idol I still need to do. Dispatch, which has been very popular recently. So these are like a few of the games that I've been considering to play on the channel, so if you're excited about any of these, well, keep tuning in to the channel. And yeah, just in case it wasn't clear maybe to people or like to new viewers, like I upload every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 12 p.m. EST, so if you're wondering when the new video is going to be up, it's always at the same time. And of course, my lovely patrons get a full week of early access. So all the people who have been supporting me on Patreon, they've gotten to watch the videos a full week before anyone else. And I'll sometimes post like a little update on Patreon as well. Even though my channel hasn't been doing that great this year, the Patreon has been going pretty well. At its peak, I had 50 supporters, which is more than I ever expected to have. I think a lot of these were tuning in for Clair Obscur. But whichever game it was that led you to sign up, thank you so much for your support. It really makes a big difference to have people support on Patreon. It really helps me because YouTube does not bring in much money, and I spend a lot of hours every week to make these videos, so it really helps when people support me with just a few bucks a month. Like, it makes a big difference, so thank you so much. One quick thing I wanted to maybe do is do a little tier list of the games that I played this year. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna try and make this quick, like I don't want to take too long, but I just wanted to talk a little bit about the different games that I played this year, either on the channel or even off the channel. So they're the same usual ratings as Backlogged or Letterboxd is the ratings I'm used to, so from 1 to 5 in increments of 0.5. So alright, let me just put these in the order that I actually played them or finished them. So yeah, it's just for me to get a chance to talk about them a little bit more and look back on some of the games that we've played. So first on the list was the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, which I played on the channel and turned out to be way more popular than I thought it was going to be. A lot of people watched this one, and it was kind of funny to put together because of the nature of the game. It's not very linear. You can kind of do things in like any order you want, and so I enjoyed trying to squeeze every last bit of juice out of this one, trying to see every ending there was to see and all the different ways that things can go. It's a great game. I think it's pretty much considered a classic by now, and it's really clever. It's maybe like other games I've gone for the meta stuff since, but I think it stays relevant even to this day. And I love how it toyed around and explored the concept of player agency and player choice in games, so I would give it a good... I guess you could go even as far as a 4, but for me, you know, it's pretty light on gameplay. It's more of a... It's a more just kind of artsy walking simulator. I guess I would go as far as a 4. It is very clever, and it was pretty innovative at the time, I think. Then we have Prey. Did I really play Prey this year? That definitely feels like last year, but I guess it was like very early in the year. I really loved Prey. As a huge fan of Dishonored, I had so much fun with it. I loved the aesthetic, the Art Deco style of the Telos space station. I loved all the different ways you could approach the different quests and situations in the game. I was intrigued by the story and the lore, and I really love having to find all the different people on the station and like getting to kind of scratch them off the list as you found the corpses or found them still alive. I remember by the end thinking there were a few things that maybe could have been done a bit better, like that I thought had potential to be even better than they were. It's been a long time by now. I don't quite remember what those were, but like, what are the creatures called? I love when the giant creature at the end comes out from deep space and just surrounds the station, and it was this great moment of just seeing it through the window, and like I really felt that. You know, there was some interesting like exploration of the moral dilemmas of trying to take someone's skill and applying it to other people, and the mimics were great. You know, Like, even though you think you get used to them, they still got me pretty often. And like, I had some great moments where I would just jump because a mimic would pop out of nowhere, even though I thought the room was clear. It didn't quite reach the heights of like a Dishonored for me, but I think it's still definitely a great game. I think Stanley Parable would bring down to like a 3.5, which is still, you know, that's very good. So this one was not on the channel, but I actually completed Celeste this year, and it's one that had been on my backlog for a very long time, and I really enjoyed it. I love platforming. You know, I grew up on the Marios and the Mega Man, and so I love challenging platforming, and Celeste is like pretty much one of the best examples of that. You know, I know that genre kind of got started with the Super Meat Boys and stuff like that, but for me, Celeste is pretty much like peak. Like, it has to be pretty much up there as the best challenging platformer, right? It's really clever in how it combines these different mechanics. You got the double jump, and you've got the dash and the wall climbing and like all these different things. And by the end, once you reach the really difficult stages, it was really giving me a run for my money. And like, I did not complete 100% of it. I think there's like a secret world at the very end that's like just absolutely insanely difficult. I think I did like 95% of it. I did get all the strawberries, but I think I was missing like that one final like ultra difficult challenge. I can't remember what it was, but really love Celeste. The music is very nice also. Love the pixel art. Celeste for me would be at least a 4.5. I also played SteamWorld Dig. I think I got this one for very cheap, or maybe even in a bundle, and it's just a little game where you dig down and then you collect stuff, and it's a pretty short game. I think I finished it in 1 or 2 sittings. I had fun with it, but you know, it's pretty simplistic. It's really kind of just a very basic game. It's fun, but it's nothing to really write home about. I'm kind of curious to play the second one actually, which seemed to be an improvement in some ways. I played this one called Voice of Cards, The Isle Dragon Roars, which I believe is a game by Yoko Taro, of course, of Nier fame. I don't know if he's like the main director. I think he is. And yeah, it's made by a lot of the same people who did the Drakengard series and Nier, so... But yeah, when it came out, I remember playing the demo on Switch and quite enjoyed it. You know, the whole game is kind of based around cards, so the menus are cards, the battles are cards, your characters are cards, so that's kind of the gimmick. And it's a pretty nice, if kind of simplistic turn-based game. For me, the main appeal was I've always been a huge fan of the art of Kimihiko Fujisaka, who's the artist who did all the illustration for this, and also in Nier and in some of the Drakengard games. And he's always been one of my favorite artists, so I wanted to play this so I could get to see all of his cool artwork. The game itself, it's okay. It's a bit simplistic. It's a bit on the short side. None of the mechanics are really that complex. It's a bit on rail, and it's a pretty slow game. I would say... I would give it like a 3. You know, it was fine. I know there's like a few other games in this series, in the Voice of Cards. After finishing this one, I didn't really feel the need to play the other ones. I think, you know, one was enough. Then we've got the excellent Chants of Sonar, which I really loved. Definitely one of my favorite games that I played this year. I think the whole concept of making a game about learning a language and trying to communicate with these people is so interesting. It's so rare that you get a game about this. It's a really unique concept, and it's so satisfying to try and piece things together. And like, I pretty much love any puzzle games or any like games with riddles and puzzles and things where you really need to use your fucking brain to figure stuff out. And I think Chants of Sonar is up there as one of the best. Really enjoyed my experience. I would put it all the way up there. There's maybe like just a little bit of maybe polish missing for me to rank it all the way to the top, but still loved it. Then we've got Ender Lily's Quietus of the Nights, which is a Metroidvania game that I played much earlier this year. I love Metroidvanias in general, and the art style of this game kind of caught my eye. And I'll say I ended up liking it more than I thought I would. Like, it seemed kind of basic at first, but I really like the fact that as you defeat more foes, you get to kind of learn new skills and assign them to your character. And so there's quite a bit of flexibility in the skills you get to use, and you can kind of build your own like skill set, which I thought was nice. It's got this nice kind of Dark Souls vibe. It's really dark, but also kind of mellow and chill and poetic, I guess. There's also a sequel, which I've heard is also very good, which I would like to try eventually. So I would give this one at least a 3.5, maybe even ahead of Stanley Parable. Then, of course, we played Ghost Trick Phantom Detective, which had just excellent music, Really love the soundtrack of this one. Of course, the same composer, I believe, who did the Ace Attorney music. I hope I'm not wrong about that. I think that's the case. I think a lot of the staff is the same as Ace Attorney, and it's one I had been curious about for a long time. And like the main gameplay mechanic itself of jumping between objects, it sounds kind of cool. It's not really that fun to me. Like, it's more of an element you use for the puzzle, and like it did get a bit repetitive as you have to try all these different things. But I will say, the story, you know, it's a slow burn. By the end, it really earns its very satisfying ending. There's a lot of twists and turns, and it kind of caught me off guard. And by the end, I was really blown away by how they were able to bring it all together. So really enjoyed Ghost Trick. I would put it maybe up here. Then we have Monster Hunter Wilds. This is a tricky one. So I was a huge fan of Monster Hunter World. That's where I kind of got started in the franchise. I've got something like 200 hours, maybe even more, in Monster Hunter World. Played that game so much with my friends, with my brother, with my girlfriend. We really spent a lot of time in it, and I was super excited for the sequel. I kind of liked it. Looked a bit more muted, but with these splashes of colors, and getting to have this mount seemed really fun. Unfortunately, the one big problem with this one was the same problem that we're getting with a lot of big AAA games now, is the performance on release was terrible. It's a very demanding game on your system. Like, even if you have a really good computer, it kind of looked like shit. Like, it looked terrible for me, it looked bad for all the people I were playing with. Like, even the people I know who have great computers, they couldn't run it, it was lagging, it looked terrible, and even months after release, it still wasn't fixed. I don't know if they have fixed it since, but last time I checked, I still couldn't run it properly. So even despite the performance, we did play it all the way to the end, and just didn't quite get the same enjoyment from it as we did from World, because they made it very streamlined. Everything is kind of on autopilot. You can just autopilot your mount to the monster. The monsters were very easy. Like, I think maybe we died once to the final boss, and that was it. Other than that, it's the same good, complex action that you're used to from Monster Hunter, but they just made it kind of too easy. And so when you couple that with the performance and kind of a forgettable story, for me, Monster Hunter was a disappointment. Like, it's still, like, Monster Hunter is still good, so I would still put it at least here. But when you combine all these negatives, it could have been a 5, and it ended up being more of a disappointment. Then we've got Lorelei and the Laser Eyes, this very unique, lovely gem of a game that not that many people have heard about, but I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I love puzzles, and this is a game that is nothing but puzzles, and puzzles of all different types. Mathematical puzzles, logic puzzles, writing puzzles, some based on geometry, some based on just, you know, your own reasoning. I love the huge variety of puzzles that there were. I love how they interconnected with each other, and so even when you thought you were stuck, there was always something you could figure out. And it's all got this really cool and unique aesthetic. It's all in black and white with these splashes of colors. Has a very excellent presentation, some nice music, and I thought it made for a pretty fun Let's Play too. It wasn't a very popular one, but I really had fun making it, so I would say, I think I would bring it here. I think maybe I liked it even more than Chants of Sonar because I love figuring puzzles out. Then we've got Red Dead Redemption. This is a tricky one. This is a difficult one for me to rate. My girlfriend is a huge fan of especially the second game, as I think most people are. You know, Red Dead Redemption 2 is held in this very high regard as one of the greatest games, I think. And so she was encouraging me to play this series. Of course, I had to start with the first one because I always do things in release order when I can. And so we started with Red Dead Redemption, and I thought it was okay. Like, I had some fun with it, but I can't say I really ever got that invested in the story or John as the protagonist. I felt like the narrative really dragged in parts, and I guess I'm just not really a fan of this Rockstar style of open world. It did get me to learn some new stuff about the Old West, which was nice. Like, it pushed me to kind of want to learn more about American history, I guess. But the game itself, it was very And I've always heard that Red Dead Redemption was really popular for Let's Plays, and really not anyone watched it, so that kind of contributed to me feeling kind of about the whole experience because the playthrough itself didn't do that well. So for me, Red Dead Redemption, I don't know. It's I will give it a 3. You know, there was nothing really that wrong with it. Then we have Call of the Sea, which I also played on the channel, and it's this very intriguing kind of narrative adventure where you're this woman going on this island as she's looking for her lost husband. This is another one that's more of a walking simulator. It's kind of light on gameplay, but the story I thought was intriguing. I love the voice acting for the main character. The island itself looked pretty beautiful, and the story goes in some interesting places. Anyone who's kind of interested in the Lovecraftian, like underwater creature aspect of things, I think would like this one. So I think I would place it maybe around here. Then we've got Elden Ring, and you must be thinking, didn't you play Elden Ring last year? Or even the year before that? Yes, I did, but I did replay Elden Ring this year alongside my brother. Like, we've been wanting to play Elden Ring in co-op for a long time, and this year we finally got around to it. Not only did we play it in co-op, but we also played it with the randomizer, which was a lot of fun, where like you don't know which boss is gonna show up, and even the enemies are like random ones, and it really freshened up the experience, and just doing it in co-op was really fun. So, and if I was to rate it overall, I mean, Elden Ring, you know, it's such a huge game. They crammed so much content in there. The boss battles are epic. There's so many different spells and weapons and playstyles you can use. Visually, even though it was a bit of an older engine by the time they did it, it still looks very beautiful. You know, it has a lot more color than some of the other Dark Souls games. So I think Elden Ring, you have to give it a 5. Even though it's not necessarily a perfect game, but just is such a monumental achievement of a game that it kind of belongs up there, I think. Then we had The Forgotten City, another one we played on the channel. Quite enjoyed that one. It had a pretty intriguing premise, and I love the time loop mechanic. I like it in games, I like it in movies, you know, if you think back to Outer Wilds, of course. Like, it's both a great narrative tool and also a great gameplay mechanic that you can do so many creative things with. And there's also kind of a meta aspect, because when you play games, you know, what do? You always make saves and then you reload to see what else could happen, and so why not just implement that in the actual game's universe? And this one also explores some like interesting themes of, you know, morality and what it's like to live in a society, and what do you owe your fellow citizen? I don't know, some interesting social commentary in this one. I think Forgotten City I would bring like, at least here, like visually and the music and stuff like that, it was nothing that spectacular, but it works well. Next, we have another one on the channel, Observation. This is a game pretty unlike any other that I've played, and it's got a very interesting premise where you're stuck on this space station next to Jupiter, and instead of playing, you know, one of the people on the station, you're actually playing the station AI. So what you're doing is just going through the cameras and through the systems and the computers. It's very cinematic. It's got a great atmosphere of dread and kind of not knowing what's happening, and it's basically like a science fiction horror movie in game form. Like, again, it's pretty light on gameplay, but it really makes up for it with its great atmosphere, and really had me guessing the whole time what was happening, where it was going. And I will say it ends kind of abruptly, you could say, but I can appreciate kind of what it was going for. It kind of ended before I thought it would. It was a bit shorter than I expected, but it was a cool experience. So Observation, I think I would put like around here. Next, we have What Remains of Edith Finch, which I also played on the channel. And this is a really lovely game. It has you go through so many different emotions. You know, sometimes it makes you laugh, sometimes it makes you sad, slowly uncovering all the unfortunate events that befell this family and kind of the tragedy of what happened to them, and slowly uncovering all these different mysteries in the house, and all these stories kind of interconnect together, and it's just so creative. One moment you're playing as a cat and you're jumping around branches trying to catch a bird. The next moment you're like in this kind of comic book flashback, running away from like a slasher villain on Halloween. It just goes through so many different things, and it's really creative. And I felt a little bit let down by its ending, but I guess it was thematically consistent. Even though it's pretty light on gameplay, I would rank it very high just because the artistry of it, you know, it's really like a piece of art, and for that I think it belongs at least up there as a 4. Then we've got Hollow Knight, I know what you're thinking. I too wish I could have played this one on the channel, and I did not play it for the first time this year. This was a replay again with my brother. We played the whole game in co-op, thanks to a mod, which was really cool. I don't want to talk too much about Hollow Knight because I will be talking about it a lot in my Silksong playthrough that's coming soon. But all I can say is Hollow Knight is one of my favorite games of all time. I think not only is it the best Metroidvania ever made, I think it kind of reinvigorated that genre on release. And you can feel its influence in games since. To me, it's just a game that's perfect in every way. The music is amazing, the visuals are amazing, the gameplay is amazing. It just really has no flaw, it's that good. So for me, that's an easy 5. Then we have Super Giant's Transistor, which I'm so glad I finally got around to playing because that's another one that had been on my backlog for a very long time. And it ended up being very different than I expected. I'm not really sure what I expected, but it's a very different game than Hades, even though you can definitely feel that this is the same studio that would eventually create Hades. I guess I just wasn't expecting its world and its story to be so... I don't even know how to describe it. Like the whole time you're playing, you feel like you're just barely scratching the surface of this story and of this world, and they just kind of hint at all these other things, these other characters, these other places. And it's a bit of a shame that you don't get to explore more of this universe that seems so fascinating. It's this weird mix of like technology and like reality and really beautiful visually. The presentation is amazing as you would expect from Supergiant. The soundtrack is incredible. And even the gameplay I thought was pretty cool and had some neat strategic aspects to it. So for me, Transistor, that's gonna be a 4. Next is Superliminal, which I also played on the channel, I think, in a single video. It's a neat little game. You know, it plays around with perspective and optical illusions as a gameplay mechanic, and it's fun, but I thought it could have gone even further with it. Like, I didn't think it quite explored that concept to its full potential. I feel like there was even more they could have done if they dug even deeper. But for what it is, it was fine. I would give it maybe a 3. Then we have Peak. That's right, like a lot of people this year, I spent some time playing Peak along with my friends. It's a difficult one to rate because it depends so much on, I guess, who you're playing with and what your experience was. And I didn't get to play it a whole lot. I played it maybe 5 or 6 times with like a few different friends. But just as a concept, you know, I think it's really good. What better challenge to tackle with your friends but to try and reach the peak of a mountain? You know, it's so simple but so effective. And quite difficult, very, very challenging, I have to say. Even with people who know what they're doing, it was very difficult, always very challenging. And there was one instance where I think all my friends died on the way there, and like I was the only person reaching the top, so everyone was depending on me, all their hopes were put on my shoulders. And like when I finally reached the top, I was like sweating. Like at the end of each of these sessions, I legitimately felt exhausted, like I had actually climbed a real mountain because there's so much tension. You can fall and die at any moment. And so I think it's really effective game design that they managed to do here. Even though the mechanics are more or less just the climbing mechanics from like Breath of the Wild, but they did manage to add like a few things and a few twists on the formula that keep things fresh. So if you can find the right people to play with, I think this one can be a lot of fun. Next we have Squeakcross Home Squeak Home. You may or may not know this about me, but I am a Picross fanatic. I've played every single Picross game that they have on the Switch, and they have a lot of them. They have like a dozen, and I've played all of them. For me, it's the perfect game for like, whether it's because I'm going to the bathroom, or because I'm trying to fall asleep, or because I'm cooking and I have to wait for the water to boil, I get to play a little bit of Picross. You know, for some people it's crosswords, for some people it's Sudoku, for me it's Picross, that's my thing. And this game was made by the lovely indie team that created The Spirit and the Mouse, another indie game from a few years back, which I really enjoyed. And so I don't know, man, it's like this indie team knows exactly what kind of game I want to play. Spirit and the Mouse was one, and you could say the same from Squeakcross. It's hundreds of Picross puzzles, but you also get like a nice little house decorating aspect to the game, kind of like an Animal Crossing. Squeakcross, I played so much of it, you know, I have to put it at least in 4. Yeah, I can tell they put a lot of love in this one, and so shout out to Alblun, the creators of this game. Next we have Pilgrims, this weird little game that I claimed for free on the Epic launcher. It's a very, very short game, and I'm not even sure how to describe it. You just kind of go in a few different places and you have to like trade items and find the right item for different solutions. So it's kind of like trial and error, but it's got this cool kind of unique hand-drawn style, which I enjoyed. It's very, very simple. It's very short, so I can't really place it that high, but for a couple hours on one afternoon, you know, I had fun with it. Next, we have Animal Well, which we played on the channel. Another one of my favorite playthroughs this year. I really love this game. I love the idea of a Metroidvania that doesn't have any fighting in it. It's all puzzles and using these different tools to interact with the environment in clever ways. And it's a game with so many secrets. There were so many secrets in this one, and some that you can't even figure out unless you work with other players, which I'm not really a huge fan of. I like when everything can be figured out just from the game itself, but I know there's also a crowd that loves kind of these ARG things, so... But I was actually pretty proud of myself for figuring out as much as I did. Like, I got pretty much all the secrets you can figure out for yourself, I think. Maybe save like a few really, really obscure things. But love the visuals, the presentation, the weird music that comes with it. And yeah, I had a blast. I would put it at least 4.5. Also, I thought the way it did the map, where like you could write on the map yourself and make your own like shortcuts and stuff, that was brilliant. I wish more Metroidvanias did that. But it is up there as one of the best games that I've played this year for sure. Next, we've got Hades 2. Which I guess officially released this year, even though it had been in early access for a really long time, and I'd put already 100 hours in it just in early access. To me, Hades is to the roguelike genre what Hollow Knight is to the Metroid genre, where it's the best possible example of that game genre, and then it even revitalized it and influenced all the ones that came after. And so, love the first Hades, and the second Hades is even better, like better visuals, better gameplay, bigger. It's at least twice the size of the first game, which is crazy to think about. More dialogue, more weapons, more modifiers. Like, there's just so much in this one. I think I might be at like 200 hours for this one too this year. Love Melinoe as the protagonist, even more than Zagreus, I think. I think some people were a bit let down by the ending of the story, and like I can understand that. It didn't really bother me as much, but I can see how it was a bit of a letdown for some people, and I don't want to talk about it too much in case some people haven't played it yet, but play it for yourself and make up your own mind about it. Next is Panorama. It's one of these games, and there's been a few in recent years that's all about, you know, placing little tiles to create landscapes, and there's a bit of a strategy aspect to it. For me, the big one was, I have to remember the name, Dwarf Romantic. For me, Dwarf Romantic was the best one in that style, and I played that one so much. I got all the achievements. I played 70 hours, and I wanted more, so I tried Panorama hoping for something similar, and it's a bit similar, but it's not quite as satisfying as Dwarf Romantic. The strategy aspect is not quite as polished, and like the tiles don't seem to fit together as well. I mean, there's some good parts to this one too. There's some stuff in this that's better than in Dwarf Romantic, but overall I didn't find it as satisfying. I would still give it like a 3. I had some fun with it. For me, I always need like some kind of game that is a bit mindless that I can play while watching YouTube videos or something, and for a while that was the one for me. Then we've got this tiny little game called Orb Tower, which is just a little indie game. I think it was made by just one person, and it's just a little bubble shooter. And I don't know, I was just really craving like a bubble shooter type game, which is actually like way more rare than you would think. You know, you've got the match 3 games like Bejeweled and stuff like that, but I've always really liked bubble shooters, and there's actually really not that many, especially on Steam. It's made by one person, and even though it's really simple, you know, it works well. It's got some pretty cool music in it, and you can finish it pretty quickly. It was just the right level of challenge, but it's a tight little package, so I would give it a nice 3. Next, we have Clover Pit, one of 2 big pit games this year. So this one is a voxel horror roguelike slot machine game, which I can't say for sure, but I feel like maybe this game was influenced by Balatro, where we've been seeing all these titles pop up that's like a known game, but then you add like a roguelike twist on it. And so Clover Pit is one of them. It is quite addictive, of course, right? It's slot machines, but contrary to what you might think, there's no microtransactions, there's no real money. It's only simulated gambling, so Like, I don't even think it would push someone to want to try real slot machines or real gambling because the roguelike aspect is so important in it. But I did play it for quite a bit, and then eventually I kind of got tired of it, as you do with some of these games. But for the time I played, it was pretty fun. I would give it a 3.5. Next we have mouth washing. Ugh, what an experience this was. This one we played on Halloween, and I really enjoyed it. It's fairly short. It's kind of like a horror movie almost. I especially loved the presentation. I'm a huge fan of games that use kind of like retro graphics, like Clover Pit is one, and Mouthwashing, and of course Signalis. We have 3 in a row here. I just happened to play all these games very close to each other for some reason. Wasn't even on purpose, but yeah, I love this retro style of like the old PlayStation games, this 3D models, but with this pixelated texture, and like placing this limitation on you allows you to make this very visually striking world. And just a great setup for a horror story. This crew stuck on this ship in the middle of space. They don't know if anyone is ever gonna come and save them. And then they slowly kind of maybe go crazy. Maybe someone among them is doing something. If you've watched it, you know what it is, but it definitely goes in some really dark places, which is why I'm thankful that indie games exist to explore kind of these darker themes. There's quite a few twists and turns, and it's got this non-linear storytelling, and it kept me on the edge of my seat the whole time. Probably the scariest game I've played on the channel, but I did it for you because it was Halloween, so... it's not perfect, like there's a few aspects of the narrative that people could maybe criticize, but I would put it at least at 4.5, I think. Then we have the excellent Signalis, which I also played for Halloween. This had been on my backlog for a long time, and I loved it way more than I thought I would. Again, it's made in the style and as kind of an homage, I guess, to the PlayStation era survival horror games like the Parasite Eve and the Resident Evil and Silent Hill. And I'd never actually played any of those games, and so I wasn't sure if this was gonna vibe with me. But between the fucking amazing presentation, between the music and the visual style of it, and a really, really captivating story about androids and humans, and I don't even know how to talk about it because I don't want to spoil anything for anyone who hasn't played it, and for those who've played it, you already know how amazing it is. It really had me wondering what was going on the whole time. Like, it's a really affecting story that stuck with me after I finished it, and it took me a long time to really piece together what was happening because the game really does not spell it out for you. It kind of trusts you to make your own interpretation and try and piece things together yourself. Like, yeah, the atmosphere, the soundtrack, it's all so good. Even the gameplay, I really, really enjoy just this aspect of clearing out the different rooms and managing your inventory and trying to find the right items and how to approach each situation. And so for me, Signalis is a 5. I think I might put it above Elden Ring. Elden Ring is such a massive game. You know, they're very different games. It's very, very difficult to compare games to each other, I find, as opposed to like movies, where most movies are like more or less in the same format, but with games, you know, you can have something like Elden Ring and then something like a Clover Pit that they're so different, so it's difficult to compare. But just based on my general enjoyment of them, I would put Signalis very high. Next we have Ball X Pit, which is the other big pit game success of the year. This is another of many, many indie games that kind of took the year by storm, and all of a sudden everyone was playing Ball X Pit, and so I gave it a shot, played the demo, quite enjoyed it, and so I went ahead and got the full game, and I completed, I think, most of it. Like, it was really, really fun and addictive at first, but I did find that I got kind of bored of it. I don't know, I just found that despite the different balls and the different characters and stuff, it just got repetitive pretty quickly, so by the time I was done with it, I'd seen enough, so I would place it maybe over here. Next is the Super Mario RPG remake that they have on the Switch. I played the original on SNES when I was a kid, really liked it. I have fond memories of it. It's very, very nostalgic for me, like the music when you see the castle and the sword in it, and it's a really nostalgic game, and I think they did a great job with the remake. It plays pretty much exactly the same. They did a good job updating the visuals while keeping everything like pretty faithful to the atmosphere of the old one. I believe they brought Yoko Shimomura back to remaster her own music, which is one of the all-time great soundtracks. And what's cool is they added like a few extra difficult bosses at the end just to have like a little bit of new content in there, which I did beat all of them, and it was fun. It's still just a remake of like an older game, so I don't want to put it as high as I would have if it was the original, because you know it's a rethread. But I would put it like at least maybe here. Next we have Wario's Woods. Now, I said I'm a fanatic of Picross. The other thing I'm a fanatic of is Wario's Woods. I played this game when I was a kid on NES, and then I played the one on SNES later, and I love it so much. I'm addicted to this game. Like, I'm always trying to convince my friends to play it so that we can face each other, because there's like a cool versus mode. But obviously, because I've played it so much, I'm really good at it, and so none of my friends want to face me, like they don't really like it as much. But I love the unique formula where you're in the box and you get to move your character around to place the blocks and stuff like that. And this is just the NES version, because that's the one that's on the Nintendo Classics on the Switch. Unfortunately, they don't have the SNES version. And this one is a bit light on content. You get like the regular arcade mode and then like a time attack and a versus mode, and that's about it. Like once you've done it all, there's not really much more you can do. But I fucking love Wario Woods. I'm just addicted to Wario's Woods. I wish they would make a new one. That would be so amazing. I'm gonna start the Wario's Woods 3 prayer circle, guys. Please join me so that we can get a sequel. And speaking of Nintendo Classics, next we have WarioWare Inc. Mega Microgames, which I think is the first game in the WarioWare franchise. It's a franchise I'd always been curious to try. There's a few games in there, and I never got a chance to try them, and so I finally got a chance to play it. And I love the concept of these really, really short little games that you have only 5 seconds to figure out what's going on, and then you have to react really, really quickly. And there's so many of them in the game. There's like, I don't know, maybe 100. It's super simple stuff. It's even simpler than Mario Party mini games, but it's just something that hadn't really been done before and hasn't really been done since, I feel. I'm gonna put Wario over here. And then we have, of course, the big boy, Cyberpunk, which took me 9 months to play on the channel. After like 60 episodes, I really don't know what more I can say about Cyberpunk. It's a game that is massive. I think it's the longest game I've ever played. Like, it took me even longer than Elden Ring to try and do everything in it. And by the time I was done, you would think I was tired. I want more. I just want to keep playing. Like, the first thing I wanted to do as soon as I finished was make a new game and just do it all over again with a different character, because there's still so many things I haven't seen, so many dialogue options to explore, different gameplay styles to try, different weapons and different vehicles, different romances, different weapons, different gameplay styles. There's so much, and it's a fascinating world. Got a great soundtrack, really good story. Cyberpunk is peak. It is a pretty buggy game. I'll say even years after release, there's still quite a bit of bugs, but I think it's kind of to be expected in this kind of giant open world game. I think I would put Cyberpunk all the way here. And then at last we have Clair Obscur. I'm going to count it even though the playthrough is not over at this point, because we've seen the credits roll, so I'm not going to say too much. I'm going to keep my final thoughts about this game for when we actually finish the playthrough in the last episode, but I think by now you probably know I really love it. Big fan of the world, of the characters, of the amazing soundtrack. Big fan of the battle system, even though it's kind of broken, but it's broken in a really fun, like intentional way. And it's just a story that's resonated with so many people. So I do have some criticisms about it, and I will talk about it more in the final episode. But I think Clair Obscur deserves its place at level 5. It's just a game that's great in pretty much every aspect. So yeah, I've been yapping for much longer than I originally intended. I hope you found this entertaining or interesting. If you watched this whole thing, you're probably one of these very loyal viewers that I talked about earlier. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for caring about my thoughts. I would love to know, what games did you play this year? Like, do you have a top 5 or a top 10 of the games that you've played? I would love to know and discuss it in the comments. So this Friday will be a new Clair Obscur episode, I think. Next Monday also. Next Wednesday lands on New Year's on the 31st, so there's not going to be a new episode, but if I can find the time, I would love to maybe do a stream to talk about all the movies that I watched this year, because even though I played a lot of games, I watched even more movies. Right now I'm at 218 movies watched this year, so Even with a stream, it might not be enough time to talk about all of them, and I considered making like a tier list video like this one, but last year, these tier list videos I made for movies took me so long to edit. It's the longest I've spent on a video, and like it's not something that many people care about anyway, so I figured I could do it on stream instead, and like you guys could tell me what you think about each movie and stuff like that. So if you're interested, be on the lookout for that stream on next Wednesday, and I hope you guys will be joining me. And then it's on to 2026 with a bunch of new games to play. Here we go. Let me go back to my little Christmas background. So thank you guys so much for watching. I'm wishing you some very happy holidays. Merry Christmas tonight, or I guess tomorrow. I hope you get to spend some quality time with your friends, with your family, with your loved ones. Enjoy your vacation, enjoy your time off from school or work or whatever it is that you have going on. And we'll see each other again very soon. À la prochaine!